Just last week, UN envoy said ISIS-K is basically now present in nearly all 34 provinces. I'm just wondering if that's the US assessment also. And can you talk a little bit about if there is any progress with the neighboring countries for over-the-horizon CT operations? Tom West was, he had talks last week in Pakistan.
Well, I would need to refer to my intelligence community or my DoD colleagues to offer an assessment as to ISIS's presence throughout the country. But what I can say, and you saw another concrete demonstration of this with the designations we announced a couple days ago, that we are committed to countering ISIS-K and ensuring that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for terrorism. We're working with our international partners, including under the auspices of the Global Coalition to Defeat ISIS, to deny the group, as you saw the other day, access to financing, to disrupt, to deter foreign terrorist fighters from reaching Afghanistan and the region, just as we are continuing using multiple tools to counter ISIS-K's pernicious ideology. We are committed to disrupting illicit financing, limiting their abilities to conduct further attacks against civilians, and supporting our partners in counterterrorism and disrupting terrorism finance. It is absolutely a priority of ours to see to it that Afghanistan can never again emerge as a launching pad for these operations that may pose a threat to the United States, that could pose a threat to our allies and partners around the world. Just as we have discussed this counterterrorism agenda, this counter-ISIS agenda with our allies and partners under the auspices of the Global Coalition, and through other means, we've also discussed this directly with the Taliban. We've consistently said we are prepared to engage the Taliban on a practical, pragmatic basis on areas of core national interest to us. And of course, counterterrorism and seeing to it that Afghanistan can never again be used as a launch pad for international attacks is a core national interest. And so we have remained in contact with the Taliban on these issues. I can confirm that next week, Special Representative for Afghanistan, Tom West, he'll return to Doha for 2 weeks of meetings with Taliban leaders there. They'll discuss, as I said before, our vital national interests when it comes to Afghanistan. That includes counterterrorism. That includes safe passage for U.S. citizens and for Afghans to whom we have a special commitment. And that includes humanitarian assistance and the economic situation of the country. That too will be a priority area of conversation with them. Tom West has been on the job now for, I think, some 6 weeks, and in that time he's already been busy. Just before he was named to this role, as you recall, he traveled to Doha to meet directly with the Taliban as part of an interagency delegation. He, not all that long ago, traveled to Europe and Russia and India to discuss the way forward on Afghanistan with our allies and partners. In many of those conversations, we discussed those issues that are of core national interest to us: counterterrorism, safe passage. But again, a key theme was humanitarian assistance and what the United States, together with the international community, might do to alleviate the humanitarian plight that that now confronts the people of Afghanistan. For our part, we've spoken of the humanitarian assistance that the United States has pledged to Afghanistan, $474 million in this year alone. What we are doing to facilitate the provision of humanitarian aid and assistance to the people of Afghanistan, not only through our direct provision of assistance to our third partners on the ground, but also the steps that we are taking, including the issuance of specific and general licenses to make clear that humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan is something that we strongly support. Final question in the back? Sure.
Thank you. I have 2 questions on Indo-Pacific. One is on Quad, next meeting with Quad in Tokyo. Do you have any update on when in next year will be held, on what level, in what form, virtual or in person, such such details. And one on the trilateral meeting held last week between U.S., Japan, and RK, and the bilateral meeting between Japan and U.S. In the readout of those meetings, you have mentioned about the discussion on Indo-Pacific, but didn't use adjectives of free and open. Why was that? I'm just curious why the readout refrained from using those terms.
There's been no policy shift. Certainly, a primary goal, not only of the United States, but of our allies and partners, and that includes the three allies and partners we have in the Quad context, is the preservation, is the promotion of a free and open Indo-Pacific. A free and open Indo-Pacific, rules-based international order, as I was mentioning to Michael before, is something that we seek to promote and to protect the world over. So every time we meet with our treaty allies in the Indo-Pacific, every time we meet in a multilateral setting, whether it's with the Quad, whether it's with our ASEAN partners, whether it is in any other context, the free and open Indo-Pacific is really at the heart of everything that we are seeking to do when it comes to that region. I can assure you that it was really the core context of our meetings, and Deputy Secretary Sherman's meeting the other day with her Japanese counterpart, but also with her Korean counterpart as well, including in the trilateral meeting.
And on Quad?
We don't have the next iteration of that to announce, but as you know, the Quad is indispensable to our efforts to uphold that very concept, a free and open Indo-Pacific. Secretary Blinken has had an opportunity to hold ministerial Quad meeting. President Biden has now had an opportunity both on a virtual basis and in person to meet with his Quad counterparts. So I can assure you that we'll find additional opportunities to meet as a Quad, but we will also find additional opportunities to meet on a bilateral basis with our treaty allies, with our partners in the Indo-Pacific, and in other multilateral fora, just knowing how pivotal and important this region is to our interests, to our values, and to the interests and values that we share with our allies and partners in the region. Thank you all very much.